Let's be real, that master's thesis can feel like this huge, impossible mountain. But what if you had a map? A map drawn by people who've not only climbed it, but have also guided others to the top? Well, that's what this is. We're using insights from seasoned examiners and successful graduates to turn that daunting peak into a clear, manageable path.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We've broken this journey down into 5 key parts. First, we're going to find your core idea, your North Star. Then, we'll talk about how to sidestep the most common writing traps. After that, it's all about mastering the process itself. And finally, presenting and defending your work like a pro. Think of this as your roadmap from that scary blank page to a finished, bound masterpiece.
Yeah, this is the question, isn't it? 100 pages of your own research. It can feel completely paralyzing. But here's the secret. The best way to start isn't by trying to write chapter 1. Nope. It's by finding your single guiding principle first. And that brings us to our first and honestly most critical task. You have to define your North Star. This is your problem statement. It's the anchor that is going to guide every single decision you make from here on out. If you get this right, everything else becomes so much clearer. So, what is a problem statement really? Think of it as the concrete foundation for your entire thesis. It's not just some sentence you have to write, it's a declaration. It tells everyone what the issue is, what the major parts of your study are, and it points to the exact gap you're planning to fill. It's your compass, and it will keep you from getting lost in the weeds later. I promise. Okay, check this out. This slide shows a really crucial transformation. So many of us start with a big general interest, something like health disparities. And that's great, but you can't research it. It's just too big. The goal is to funnel that interest into something focused, like the example on the right. See how specific it is? You've got an action, a context, and a population. That's a real North Star. You know, the type of case study you choose really shapes the whole story you're about to tell. So are you a detective trying to find the root cause of a problem? Or maybe you're a strategist recommending the best path forward for a company. You could be an evaluator, figuring out if a program is actually working, or an innovator, showing how a new concept can be applied. Each of these paths has a totally different goal. All right, let's switch gears. For this next part, I want you to think like the people who will actually be grading your work. Seeing your thesis through an examiner's eyes is the absolute key to avoiding the simple, frustrating mistakes they see over and over and over again. Before an examiner even reads your amazing arguments, they notice stuff like this. Sloppy formatting, typos, messy citations. They seem like small things, right? But to an examiner, they're huge red flags. They signal that maybe you didn't care enough. And please, be careful about just using a senior's thesis as a template. You have no idea if you're just copying their mistakes. And this right here, this is one of the biggest traps you can fall into. A literature report is just a boring list. It's you saying, this person found this, and that person found that. But a master's level literature review, that's a conversation. You're not just summarizing, you're analyzing, you're connecting ideas, and you're pointing out what's missing. That missing piece, that's where your research fits in. I want you to really read this quote. It's a direct warning from an examiner. Think of your thesis like a 3-legged stool. You've got your problem statement, your research questions, and your objectives. If those 3 things aren't perfectly lined up and supporting each other, the whole thing gets wobbly. An examiner will spot that immediately, and it just casts doubt on your entire project. Okay, moving on, we have to admit something. Writing a thesis isn't just an intellectual challenge. It's a massive project management challenge. Your success depends just as much on your habits and your organization as it does on your big ideas. So this section is all about mastering that process. Forget this idea that you need to lock yourself in a room for a week and come out with a finished chapter. That's just a recipe for burnout. The real secret? It's consistency. 100 words a day. That's it. It might not feel like a lot, but trust me, over a few months, that steady, daily effort is what actually builds a thesis. Your relationship with your supervisor is so important. You have to treat it like a professional partnership. Set clear expectations right from the beginning. And here's a big tip. When you hit a wall, don't just show up and say, I have a problem. Show up and say, I have a problem, and here are a couple of ways I've thought about solving it. It shows you're engaged and you respect their time. Let this be your mantra. Say it with me. Small is beautiful. You are not supposed to solve all of the world's problems in your master's thesis. In fact, trying to do too much is one of the main reasons people struggle. A focused, well-done, smaller study is 1,000 times more impressive than a huge, ambitious project that you can't finish. Look, this whole thing is a marathon, not a sprint.
Your mental health isn't some side issue. It's a core part of the project. It is 100% okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to take a break. A smart strategy? Match your tasks to your energy. Do the deep thinking when you're fresh, and save the boring formatting stuff for when you're tired. Taking care of yourself is taking care of your thesis. All right, you've done it. The research is done. The chapters are written. Now it's time for that final, crucial phase. Let's talk about how to turn all that raw data into a compelling story and get ready to defend your work with confidence. This question, this is the pivot point. This is where you have to make a critical shift in your brain. You've been a detective, objectively gathering facts. Now you have to become a lawyer, persuasively making a case. You've collected all the clues. Now you have to stand in front of the jury, your examiners, and tell them what it all means. You have to maintain a strict firewall between these two chapters. It is so important. Chapter 4, your results chapter, is the evidence room. You just present the facts, neutrally. This is what we found. But Chapter 5, the discussion, that's your closing argument. This is so what it all means. Here's where you interpret, explain, and connect everything. Don't ever mix them up. The defense, or the viva. It sounds scary, I know, but try to reframe it. This is the one time in your life you get to have a deep, hours-long conversation about your work with experts who have actually read it. That's amazing. And preparation is what turns that anxiety into excitement. Know your thesis backward and forward, guess what questions they'll ask, and practice your answers. And here we are, the finish line. This last part is all about reframing this whole thing. It's not just some academic requirement you had to get through. It's the capstone achievement of your entire master's degree. It's time to own it. This isn't just a nice-sounding phrase. This is the single most important mindset you can have. This document is a piece of original scholarly work. It represents years of learning, hundreds of hours of effort, and a real contribution to your field. It is uniquely and entirely yours. It really is your masterpiece. So you did the hard work. You gathered the clues, you avoided the traps, and you built a powerful argument based on evidence. Your masterpiece is done. The only question left is this: what story will your research tell the world? Go on, tell it. You've earned it.